Hello everyone and welcome once again. Just really excited to share my second project in the making. Hope you enjoy. New project, Bearded Dragon Custom Bed Enclosure. So this is one I was actually looking at playing around with the colors. My choice of colors was acrylic. So the really cool thing about this is that it gave me an idea of what I could actually do and how the end results would look. So this was just some styrofoam that I got, carved it out to give me that rock-like appearance, but at the same time I was really looking to see how the colors would look complete when dry. So this was just a test, but even the test, it looked great. So it gave me an idea of what I needed to do and which colors to mix for the actual finished product. So this actually turned out to be my end result close-up after I was able to carve using a hot iron, scalpel, ruler, and a pen, and using some acrylic colors. This was my end result. Not bad. So here I was working on building the steps to get from the first floor to the second floor, along with the pillar that would be holding and supporting the second floor. All right, just gave the steps black base coat, and now I just applied a wet brush pavement gray. So let this dry up and I'll throw another wet wash on it and see how that looks. Okay, so now I'm actually working on the second structure. This one will be the one that leads to the third level. At the same time, a space for the bearded dragons to get away from the heat. All right, look, this is how I'm making the second level. So it will be, I'm gonna carve some bricks there, stones. I already got my pillar. I got the steps, just gotta put a little texture. This eventually will be the front. I gotta carve it out. And then I have to put a back wall because I'm gonna have a lid right here for the second. So the thing's gonna come up through here, and then another set of steps, and then up through a hole to the second level. And then this is how it looks on the inside. Let's see, there's not enough light. So let's see. Maybe if I do it like this, see that? So it's supposed to be a dragon's lair, or his cave at least. So it's giving it that look of like it's protecting gold or something, you know what I mean? So let me finish this up and see how it comes out. Okay, here's the other one. This is the one that goes on the bottom level. A little detailed, but this is like the, again, because this is to resemble a dragon city that got jacked up and abandoned. All right, so I'm done carving. Can't see in there because it's too dark. This will be the stairs. I already painted that one. And this will come up here, it'll come up to the top, it'll come up here, and then this is where it will be basting on the second level. So this is the second level. Okay, now I'm gonna get ready for painting. All right, so this is how it actually looks once it was painted. Like everything I've been doing, I've actually been using something called mud podge. It's a glue, and I mix it with the acrylic so that way the structure can really withstand the bearded dragon clawing. It makes it nice and durable at the same time and flexible so it doesn't break. So this is actually what I did now to build the support walls for the first floor supporting the second floor. All right, here is what I'm gonna use for my rock. Here's a rock. I just made it out of cement. Just kidding. It's styrofoam from a cushion. Or actually not even styrofoam, it's just foam. So I just molded it into a rock, gave it some creases to help give it a little bend. So that's about the degree I need. Looking at it from the top, I'd say it looks pretty good for stone. It's my stone mix, just plaster and mud podge glue. And then later on I'll come back and do a wet wash paint job on it. But it looks pretty good. See, as far as the bottom one, I had to do this one in place. Very messy job. But there is the rock formation for what will be under the underturn. So let's see how this hardens up. Hopefully it hardens up pretty good. Okay. So my next phase was to actually start finding a way to build a mountain ridge for the background that I would be considering using. So here I decided to use the styrofoam spray can, or it's styrofoam in a can. And very messy, very sticky. Do recommend using some kind of protective equipment, gloves in this case, because very sticky and tacky stuff, hard to come off. But had to spray the whole thing and see how that came out. Okay, so this was the second phase. This was trying to find a way to just build a mountain ridge for the background. I used a styrofoam can, and this was a very complex and hard process to carve out. I wouldn't definitely go this route again. I'd probably go simpler next time. So here, after I finished carving out the mountains on the back, I decided to do some dry fitting just to kind of get an idea of how things would look as they started coming into place. Alright, so this is how it's coming together so far. Little by little. Hi! Little by little. Here's the undercave for that right there. So the next thing I focused on was to grab this second level and sculpt it out to make it look like something real. Alright, this was my carving process for the first floor. See, still got a ways to go. Right here, and right there. But you can kind of see how it's looking, and then you see when it's done. Alright, so I got the finished piece. This is how the base is gonna look for the second floor. Almost done. Still gotta get a little grooves around the edges. See how it looks kind of simple, but next phase coming up. Alright, just finished giving it its first coat of glue mixed with plaster and a little bit of black dye, black ink. So you can see it's really starting to come together. Got a little dripping going on there. Let's get that fixed. Can't have that. There we go. You can see the detail now. So let's just see how it dries. That's the entrance. All right, keep you updated. So here, once the styrofoam from the can dried up, I was able to carve it and wait for it to dry again, because this thing dries from the inside out. So I started focusing on painting it. This is how it came out. Again, this was just dry fitting everything in place to see how it looked. Okay, so here you can get a dry run of how everything looked once it was kind of just fit in place. This kind of gave me an idea of where I needed to touch up paint around the edges that would be exposed. Here you can see this is the bottom part of the cave. Looks pretty good. Looking at cutting that right there. But there's some details working in the garage, so got a little light coming in. You can see the detail in the mountains there. Used some brown with some white. And it put some white acrylic in the background. That was going to be my potential background for my clouds. And then just a really decent detail in the overall design. This dry run here, we actually used Electra. This is the actual homeowner of her mansion. Just wanted her to get a feel for the scale of how I'm building this, making sure I have it to scale. At the same time, she's getting some sun, so basking at the same time. So here I actually decided to work on an original idea that I had. At one point, I was looking at actually hiring a local artist to help me paint clouds, because that's just one thing that I've never done. Like everything you're seeing here, I've never done, but I don't know, the clouds just seem a little too technical for me, even though I kind of had an idea of how to do it, but I didn't want to go through the whole process of erasing and doing it all over again just till I got it right. So I didn't want to waste too much time on it. So I was actually looking at and considering a local artist, but the cheapest quote I got for the amount of work you see here was $800, believe it or not. That's way more than I've spent on all my material. So I didn't want that to be my biggest investment. And again, I was just trying to make this as a fun project for my son, who needs a bed at the same time, a new enclosure. So I really only spent $310 for all the material you've seen up to this point. And what was really unique about this one here is that this was actually just a poster that I picked up at Walmart while I was walking around, and figured, hey, maybe this is something I can cut up and just apply, which I did, utilizing the aluminum you see on the floor there. I just kind of build a template and went around the mountain ridges and then threw it on the poster and cut the poster out. There was some spots that were white, but I was able to touch them up with paint, so that worked. But I can always change the scenery around too if I ever get bored of this. Something comes out with cities, or dragon background. So really like this idea. And again, it's just something that I can really just change up whenever I want. But looks pretty clean. Now I was actually working on just installing the custom gas struts. In this phase of the project, I was looking at just installing the gate, which would be a concealed gate with concealed hinges. Once I finished up the gate, my next step was to just finish up the platform which the bed would be resting on. In order for the bed to lift at a 45-degree angle, I had to design or come up with a design that would allow the top base to pivot at a 45-degree angle. And this was pretty much the best idea that I come up with. I basically just drilled some pilot holes, put in some pipe. I believe that was like a welding pipe or gas type pipe, so pretty strong, and just secured it to the headboard of the bed. Once everything was pretty much completed, now the journey began. Next step was to start moving everything into my son's room and start assembling. Okay, so I actually went ahead and just fast forwarded and skipped the tedious amount of work that went into disassembling this entire bed and reassembling in my son's room. Keep it in mind that this is a full-size bed, so something that won't easily fit through any standard door. So I had to go this route in order to get this big structure in my son's room. So got everything already set up, got the moldings in, used air gun, gates opening just fine with the concealed hinges. Closes nice. So the next step would be to pretty much just start painting up the entire structure. Got the screens installed. That's what I wanted, something see-through, but at the same time allow circulation for the bearded dragon to not get too stuffed up with moisture. but it's looking good. It's coming along good. Okay, so now I got all the electrical set up and ready to go. Got the basking light all ready and set up in this area. This one puts out about 100 to 110 heat source, along with the UVA, UVB output source. Plenty of UVA, UVB light source throughout this entire enclosure. Got in the basking area. Got screen here, so this keeps the beer dragon from coming out, obviously. But got an 18-inch right down the middle as well. It's an 18-inch LED UVA UVB light source. It's a Zoomed. I believe that's the brand it is, or the manufacturer, I'm sorry. And right now we have the beer dragon in here. He's kind of hidden back there in a cave, not intended to be a cave, but it is a cave. So wasn't expecting to hide back there, but there's my 18-inch light source along with the basking one. So it's coming along really well. Like I said, plenty of space for this thing to run in. It's equivalent to 760 gallons versus the 40 gallon that I could have bought. It's the biggest they made. So you can see I have the staples all along the edge in here. But eventually I'll cover those up, just like I did with the other ones with the trimming. The hinges are concealed, so you can't really see them, but this still allows the gate to open without exposing any kind of concealed or any kind of hinges. That's the purpose of the concealed hinges. And it closes just nice. So electrical's done. So here, just wanted to share how Electra's adapting to her environment. Now she's actually in the cave she's supposed to be in. That's the original cave I designed for her, but apparently there's 3 caves within this structure. So she doesn't seem too hyper at the moment. I'm wondering if it's because she's kind of just getting used to her environment, but she'll come along eventually. While we were out at PetSmart, we couldn't have helped but pass up this offer. We picked up another bearded dragon. This one's a male, and we got it for only $18, originally $68. And I take that back, it was $79, and we got it for $18. So it was like 50% off, another additional 50% off, because they said this guy was broken. And broken in the sense that it was very aggressive. It was eating other bearded dragons its age. So we couldn't miss the opportunity of passing it up, seeing that it would be housed with a bigger bearded dragon. So we definitely took this guy home. So that's the new one. It's a male. And that's the old one, the female. So you can see, based on the structure, this is a pretty big enclosure. My 16-year-old son fits in here just fine. Did want to point out that we had to put Daredevil, the male, into Electra's old cage, which is a 20-gallon, just so that they can learn to live with each other, because Electra seems to be somewhat aggressive towards Daredevil. So hoping that this helps them cope with each other for a while. All right, so we got the finished product. This is how it looks from the outside of my son's door. Again, that's custom bed with a bearded dragon enclosure on the bottom. How old is your bearded dragon, Ethan?
7 months.
7 months. So you have, he's way out there. You can see him basking right now. Let me zoom in. There he is. Or it's a she. And it's 3 levels. Got this first floor down here with the cave out there. Got steps right there. You can see the light protruding. Kind of comes up here, goes in through that other second set of stairs. right underneath it, it's a cave. This is the temporary enclosure. This is a small one, it's a male. It's tasting the fake leaves. I guess it's hungry. So that's just a temporary enclosure, and this big enclosure, because the big one over there will eat the small one. So we're just trying to get it used to it. And then this is the top part of the bed. Can you lift the bed? So yeah, all these wires are just temporary because this doesn't go there. See, so once he lifts it, okay, it should lift by itself with the shocks. See that? So then this allows him to take off the lock and then open the door. So it allows him to get in there and do routine maintenance, cleaning. What is it doing?
It's moving its head up and down.
Oh, it's bobbing. Yeah, it's because it's
Okay, look, he's doing his high thing.
Yeah, that's because he's playing submission. He's doing his submission call. This one's wanting some trouble, and this one over here is doing its hand gesture of submission when it does that little hand wave. See that little hand wave? It's basically signaling to the bigger one that it submits. So when this one starts bobbing its head, or even the other one, that's a sign of wanting to be territorial or move over because I'm bigger, and then they start showing their beards. But right now it's not stressed, and this one seems to behave a lot. So, but it's still too small. You'll eat it up. What did you give it?
Blueberry.
Blueberry? Yeah, it's probably too big for it.
No, he ate it.
No, it's because remember when they're that small, you gotta feed it something that fits between their eyes.
No, I know, but she'll chew it.
So this is what the final product. Okay, again, this is just temporary. All these cords here. This is not where this one belongs. And all this is screen. It's all screen. Eventually, I'll put plexiglass, but that's the final result. Down there, underneath, all this area right here is a cave. That's another cave. But for the most part, it likes to spend its time right there on the basting light. Here we have another light. It's not heat source. That one over there is both heat and basting. This one's just for the UVA, UVB. It's an 18-inch, and it's what is that? Zoom Med.
Look, he's doing
Light. There you go.
Oh,
There he goes. He's getting aggressive. He's getting aggressive. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, he wants at him. Look at him.
The black part is black too.
The beard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So this is why we have this temporary enclosure in here. Because see, that's that little bobbing head. See, in this one right away, he tries to show the submission of the little hand gesture, like saying, "Hey, don't eat me. I submit." See, both sides. The other one's like, "I ain't having that. You lucky the glass is here. I'd pop your head like a cherry." See, but the little one's like, "It should be working because he hasn't killed me." So now it's gonna go like.
Leave her. Leave her. She can't do anything.
Why are you being so aggressive? You got plenty of space in here. There's no need to be aggressive. Yeah, so we're waiting for it to get to pretty much about the same size. The other one's a male, so eventually the male will dominate this one. This one's a female, but right now, on size, yeah, it's no comparison. This thing will crush it. They got strong bites. So that's the enclosure. That's everything that I've been doing, mostly all styrofoam. We ended up changing the floor today, only because the last floor we had was more for like dioramas, so it really wasn't holding up. It was a nice green, but every time this thing would do its business, it does both number 1 and 2, and it was messing up the material on that flooring we had. So we decided to go with the tile, kind of match somewhat of the mountain structures we have. So now if it does its business, we can just, my son can just walk on in there, mop it, and clean it. Something this big, you can't really walk outside and take it out like that. What's it, what size of gallon aquarium is that one? Or the tank? It's a 20
I think, yeah.
20 tank? 20
gallon.
gallon tank. So this enclosure, go ahead and close the bed. So we got the shocks.
comes right down. Alright, and that's his bed. So next thing is to make his need some kind of a stool. Step, a couple of steps to get up. So it's like a typical I don't know if you've seen those beds. That's where I kind of got the idea of not a bunk bed, but those kind of beds where they store stuff underneath the bed. So instead of investing $240 on the next big aquarium like that, this one's a 20-gallon. The biggest one they had was a 40-gallon, and it runs about $230, and it's only 40 gallons. And this guy's, I mean, really almost an adulthood. He's about 1.5 foot right now, or she. And it would definitely outgrow the 40-gallon. So really, the only next thing would be to invest in a custom one. So this enclosure here, as it is, with all the light sources and everything in there, I'd say I'd spent no more than $500. And that's really only because that light right there itself was about 80. The bulb was another 40. So you're talking about 120 just right there on that light fixture alone. That one back there, my son already had it. From this original enclosure, I got those lights there off of OfferUp for about $25 for an additional, for those two lights there. One's got a heat lamp, the other one's got the UV light. Again, this is just a temporary enclosure until they can kind of get used to each other, and then later on I'll put some more stuff here to make it fill in a little better. But she was exploring her terrain. And so now we're actually talking about a 760-gallon enclosure versus a 20-gallon or a potential 40-gallon for no more than $350. Because again, all of this is mostly styrofoam and just acrylic paints. And don't have any artistic talents or prior experience, but you know, again, like everything, doesn't hurt to try it and see how it comes out. I mean, if you mess up, it's your stuff, so no need to be too concerned about how it actually come out. See, so I saw that this little guy was, or girl, she goes by the name of Electra, was actually taste testing the floor, because again, that's new to her. For the past couple of months, she's been on a green terrain, and now it's something new to her. So right off the bat, she went and started licking it. From what I understand, that seems to be something that they do to get accustomed to their surroundings, is start licking. I'm not sure what kind of sensors they have, but she goes up her little cave, and more than likely she'll start basking on her rock there. There she goes. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So this is all with that spray styrofoam that you get from a can, and then that was left over, the stuff that fell, just converted it into that. It's right under the red lamp. There he is, submitting to me, "Hey guy, you're all right. I'm not gonna eat you." And then this is styrofoam from insulation that I guess contractors use to insulate homes nowadays, exterior walls, versus that Pink Panther looking fiberglass type insulation. They use just regular white styrofoam. Can't really see underneath there, but that other one right there, it's a different type of foam. It's cushion. It's a cushion foam. See, go ahead and turn on the LED lights. So it's got LED lights too. The only thing is it's got all these other lights on. I still gotta make it so make it change colors.
Change colors?
Yeah, so I got LED lights in here too, so in the nighttime you can basically just turn off all the lights but leave some LED.
Oh, fade, right?
Yeah, you can hit the fade button. So, I mean,
Can't really see it. Turn off the light.
well, you have to turn off all the lights.
Oh, this one.
It's not gonna help.
I have it on quick.
What's that?
I have it on quick.
Okay, that's fine. So that's the blue setting. It looks again a lot better when all the lights are on off. You know, it's getting about that time too where you gotta turn off the lights. You wanna turn off the lights?
Yeah.
Alright, so let me pause this and then continue from there. Alright, so this is how it looks with the LEDs. We just already turned them on. Let's see, where's that little guy? Zoom in. Yeah, there he is, look at them. That's a girl. It's Electra. Yeah, it's about nighttime for you. No more basting lights. So there again, here's how it looks from the outside of my son's door. Again, custom enclosure, custom bed. He needed both. The bed and a new aquarium for his lizard, his bearded dragon. So this is just the way to kill two birds with one stone. No pun intended. It's not a joke for those who are animal activists. Didn't necessarily mean that. You get my point though. So big enclosure. So that's just the side view. Still got this whole view here. Where's it going? And it's coming back down to with its partner, I bet. So you can get a close up. What are you doing, buddy?
Are we trying to get out?
Electra, I see you. Where's the other guy? What was the name of your male?
Daredevil.
Daredevil. And then the female is Electra. Good
Because
combination.
you know how they fight with each other at first and then they fall in love?
All right, they fight with each other first and then they fall in love. Good point. So right now, she's all aggressive. Well, she's not necessarily aggressive, but she definitely shows her dominance.
Yeah, she's gonna go sleep right there.
All right. So this whole project was roughly about, I want to say 2 weeks, but 2 weeks drawn out in weekends because I'm just a weekend warrior. So overall, I want to say roughly about 2 months in the makings, but really just no more than 14 days working on it, Saturday and Sundays type thing. And I want to say again, no more than $550. For sure, the material itself, I know, was just $310. Everything else is just little minor details, but for the most part, $310 was just the material to make the whole enclosure, and that included the styrofoam. And again, the other details was, you know, like those little lamps back there, the LEDs, and that's really about it. The water bowl, but everything else, about $310, just the materials. It's a solid 4x4s for the support joists. Got 6 of them, and then I had I believe it's just a floor laminating, so it was 1/4, and then the gas struts were rated for 90 pounds each. So together I'm pulling 180. So this whole bed here with the platform, when lifted, is about 180 in weight. And when I originally tried to determine what the weight for the gas struts I needed to be, I put a scale right in the middle of, I can't see it because of the lights. Give me a different light, Ethan. Give me like a green or something. This blue's, okay, that'll work. Well, it's still too bright.
You want darker?
No, it's okay. It's okay, just leave it like that. But there's the center pole, you can see the center. So I measured the center pole. This one here, this one's hidden. I hid it behind all that styrofoam, but that center is the center of the bed. And so I put the scale, I lifted up the bed, put the scale in the middle, and then set the bed down on it. And it only gave me 120 pounds. But and that included the wood and the extra layer of wood that it had, 120 pounds. But I mathematically just didn't seem right. I mean, that was the center of gravity, but this is lifting a little further away from the center of gravity. So I decided to add about another, maybe 20% to the weight. So instead of 120, I went 180, and it works perfect, like you saw. It goes up by itself, holds up really well, and comes down assisted halfway, and then it's closed, doesn't slam. Heavy to go up, so it definitely helps with the extra support lifting it up. So the whole idea there again is to make it user-friendly and easily accessible on a daily basis, since again it's not one of these where you can just pick up and take out. These things tend to, I mean, it's been pretty good about just doing its thing on the base of the first floor. These animals seem to be pretty clean, and they pretty much seem to go to the same spot. It's always doing it in the same spot, so that's also a good thing. Seems like you can almost potty train them if you can continue their habits in doing their business in the same spot. Maybe put some kind of a kitty litter type setting. But this is the completed stage. Once this one gets a little bigger and they both start running around here freely, then plan on adding some more structures all within this area here. Go up, because I still got a lot of space to deal with up here. So definitely a lot more levels coming in the future. Make it more adventurous for these animals. All right, so let me know what you think. Thanks.